Hey friend, if you've ever had a billion reasons that give you the justification to shut down, shut out your business, shut out people, just like retreat, and you don't want to have to do anything today, this is absolutely the episode for you. So tune in for my real life vulnerable tips on how to get through crappy days so that you can continue to show up with aligned, inspired action and manifest the life of your dreams.
Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme, and if you are tuning in on YouTube and you can see me right now, I look massively different, and that is because I think that I was bit by a bug a couple of days ago, and my entire face is completely swollen. My left eye is swollen shut, my right eye is on its way, and I look like a different person. In fact, I was kind of giggling this morning that my iPhone didn't recognize me. So you might be curious enough to get on over to YouTube. But this is the thing. Like, I definitely could have ran the episode that I had scheduled for today, which is the third video in the series of control and letting go of control. But the thing is that I have really been guided by spirit to be really honest, vulnerable, authentic with all of you guys. And I think that that is where we have to recognize that it's not just a knowledge that we're here to gain, it's applied knowledge. And if I don't show you guys what it's like to show up and do the things that I teach you, even when everything seems to be spiraling down, then I'm not doing my job. Like, my goal is to help to see how you can embody the things that we're learning here together. And in order for me to do that, I have to be willing to show up like this. And so right now, in all honesty, my face is like crazy itchy. It's burning, and because it's so swollen, it hurts really bad. It's starting to kind of go down my neck. I have a doctor's appointment scheduled for later today, so don't worry about me by any means. But here's the deal. Life is going to continue to go on. There are still going to be things that I have to do. There's still going to be ways that I get to show up. And I want to show you guys behind the scenes of what I am doing to basically work through this hiccup that I did not expect at all and allow for you to kind of be in my inner world. That's the whole thing about this podcast, right? Is that we get to go through life together, that you guys get to see and hear some of the behind the scenes things. And so, like I mentioned, I am really miserable right now. And I, definitely could go down one of two paths, right? I could plow through and just like fake it till I make it, and I can just, not let this stop me. And I could completely go down the opposite, where I just want to stay in bed or on the couch and put my phone in do not disturb and just let my body heal through this. And my all or nothing brain would definitely go back and forth between those two for years. And so what I do in my life now, what I've learned to do, what I teach my clients to do, is to really tune into and tap into my highest self, my God within me, my Holy Spirit, right? And when we do that, we can recognize what we're meant to do and where we're meant to rest. And that's one of the things that I love to do with entrepreneurship, is to help honor our sacred rest time and not to get caught up in the cycle of doing, pushing more. And I think that many of us that are listening to this show and clients that I work with are high achievers, right? So we're used to pushing through. We're used to continuing to show up, and we're used to outperforming where we possibly could use some rest. And so really where this episode is going is along the lines of balance, along the lines of trusting your discernment, allowing the Holy Spirit to guide us, as well as how do we stay in high vibes even when life is taking a toilet plunge, because that's sometimes how it can feel, right? So my first thing I'm going to say is that when I am thinking about what it is that I want to do, or whether or not I need to push through, or whether or not I need to honor myself with rest, is I pray into it. And this doesn't matter if it's, this situation, or if it's that, you look at your to-do list in the morning and you're like, Lord, what am I supposed to do today? The same things that I'm going to talk about next are the same things that I do on the daily, regardless if there are things, obstacles in my way. And when I allow for Spirit to guide my to-do list, then I know that everything that I meant to do that day is exactly what I'm supposed to do. And then it's divinely orchestrated. And when I teach people my flow state money method, it's all about getting to aligned, inspired action. That doesn't mean I just need to do it because it's on my to-do list. And it doesn't mean that I need to force through, punch through. And it doesn't mean that I just need to let everything go and just retreat, right? Because that's oftentimes what we want to do as well. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do on the daily basis, and then how this is intertwining with today. Okay. So on the daily basis, I'll have my to-do list. I usually map out kind of what I have looking ahead for the week, and I will prioritize. So what do I need to do today? I also have a schedule in which I have a theme of tasks and activities and things on my calendar that are kind of my Monday things, and my Tuesday things, my Wednesday things. You guys get that, right? So what I'm doing is I'm looking at my list and I'm saying, Lord, this is the stuff that is on my list today. Is this what you want me to do today? And this is where I get to prioritize. This is where I get to decide if I'm going to do, if I'm going to delay, if I'm going to delegate, or if I'm going to delete. Okay. And so I'm doing this. I'm like, okay, Lord, is this what you want me to do today? And when I do that, I'm praying. And oftentimes I teach my clients the things that I do, as well as other things that work really well. So for me, when I'm in my prayer time, I could ask God yes, no questions, and he responds to me with my body. So when it's a yes, I feel like I can breathe bigger, deeper. I feel like my spirit is able to breathe. I feel like I am just, I don't know, like coming alive. I get shivers oftentimes with the yes. With a no, it almost feels like my spirit is getting shoved into a tiny little box, or I get an icky feeling in my stomach, or I just feel like I can't breathe as deeply. That's a no. Okay. So I ask yes, no questions. You could also muscle test. I teach my clients techniques like the sway test and using your hands. And so those are really fun ways to discern as well. So what I'm doing is I'm asking God, like, should I do this particular task today? Yes or no? Right. And then I'll ask, is this something that I should delay for tomorrow? And when he guides me, and I know that the things that are supposed to be on my list for today are on my list, then I know that those are aligned, inspired actions. And that's my end of the bargain, right? That I get to do, I have to do. And I also am able to give myself permission to delay, to put things on my list for tomorrow, to delegate them, to delete them altogether. And what happens is that oftentimes I'll put it on my list for tomorrow, and then I ask the same dang thing, like, Lord, should I do this today? And he'll oftentimes either like assign that task for that day, or he'll keep pushing it out until all of a sudden it just naturally takes care of itself, or somebody will come in and offer to do it for me. Like, it's amazing the miracles that happen when I trust and allow God to guide my actions. Okay. So that's what I do on the daily. So today I'm like, okay, Lord, I feel like crap. And I have a podcast interview that I'm supposed to do for somebody else's podcast. And it's like, okay, is that for me today? Because if it is, if that's inspired, if it's guided by the Holy Spirit, then I'm just going to like show up, and I'm going to choose my attitude, and I'm going to show up. And today he was like, no, set that down. And so I hate like letting go of obligations, but I emailed the podcast host, and I'm like, hey, sorry to reschedule, but this is the deal, and you deserve my best. And so I'd love to get on your schedule in a couple of weeks. And that all worked out fine. He was super understanding, good to go. Right. I have a couple of other appointments today that I'm supposed to keep. And so I just am trusting that the things that I'm supposed to do are going to be done, and I'm going to do my best. And the things that I am not supposed to do, I don't should on myself. I don't guilt myself. I don't shame myself. I just allow. I'm like, okay, awesome. I'm not supposed to do that today. Thank you, Lord. And I'm going to rest in that space. So I allowed myself, when my alarm went off this morning, I had to take some Benadryl in the middle of the night, and I allowed myself to sleep in a little bit longer than I normally do, because that's where the Lord was guiding me, right? I kept my normal 8:30 appointment that I do every day because that's where the Lord was guiding me. I gave up my 10 o'clock podcast because that was not for me today. And so I want you guys to just recognize that it's okay for you to give yourself permission to rest. And it's also in your job in the manifestation equation to do what you're being instructed or inspired to do for aligned action. All right. So now, okay, great. So here I am, right? And I am still I'm still like puffy. I'm still, my lips are swollen, you guys. So I'm struggling to even talk a little bit. And I'm like, okay, should I do this? And the Lord is like, yes, you should do this podcast. I felt very inspired to do this show because I felt like it's easy for all of us to show up in our perfect, situation. I mean, you cannot tell, but like, even if I put foundation on, it wouldn't help. My eyes are so swollen that you can't even see that I have eyelashes on. And so I could have gotten in my head and been like, oh my gosh, like, look at me. But I'm like, nope, this is my inspired action. So I'm showing up, and I'm going to encourage all of you guys to do that, because I think that in our vulnerability, in our authenticity is where we connect, really, really connect with other people. So here I am, right? I'm showing up. And so when the Lord asks me to do something, I don't want to half-ass it. I don't want to just do it to say I did it. When I get into aligned, inspired action, I also have to recognize that through the power of my intention, the focus of my thoughts, I can shift energy, I can move energy, and I can create the outcome that I want to, because I am choosing to do so. And then oftentimes there are situations where it's easy, it's fun. Like, of course, I love doing this activity, even if I, am itchy and swollen, like, it's still fun. I'm going to keep doing it, right? And then there's activities where like, okay, I got to really show up here. And so in that moment, what I do is I say to God, Lord, I know that this is what you have for me today. Please increase my passion and my energy for this. And that's also a discernment tool I use when I am, still like, oh my gosh, do you want me to do this or not? Like, Lord, if this is not for me, please decrease my passion, my energy for this. But if this is for me, please increase my passion, my energy for this. And so here I am, like, showing up with the same energy that I would normally show up for you guys, because this is where I'm aligned to be. Okay. So I wanted to share those couple of tips with you. I also want to recognize that the greatest superpower that all of us have at any given moment is our ability to choose. I believe that our superpower is our free will, and that at any moment I can choose whether I want to feel sorry for myself or I can choose to rise above my circumstances. So I am choosing to not be a victim to the circumstance. I am choosing to allow myself to go through the day as gracefully as I can, getting done what I'm meant to get done, guided by the Spirit, and allowing myself the peace and joy of letting go of the things that are not for me today. And it's a choice. And so I can choose to sit on the couch and feel sorry for myself and concentrate my focus on that, or I can choose to rise above it and be like, awesome, like, I'm going to give myself rest today, and I'm going to get this and this done because this is where I'm being guided. So I want you to always recognize that we always have a choice. And I know that this sounds very simplistic. I mean, you're like, Lachelle, for real, like, big deal. Your face is itchy and swollen and burning and whatever, but you don't understand. Like, you don't understand that I just got this diagnosis, or you don't understand that my kid has this going on, or you don't understand that my house just blah, blah, blah. Like, I am not saying, friends, that I am not sympathetic to all of the things. And all of us have something going on at any given time. Let's just be real. And at any given time, that thing is really heavy and important to us. And so we cannot compare our trials and tribulations to somebody else, because there may be things that other people are going through that you're like, you start shaming and guilting yourself for feeling down or feeling, knocked off course. That's not for you to judge. That's not for you to discern. That is for you to just recognize that this is your journey. This is your situation, and honor that. But if you are somebody who is going through really hard things, the same principles apply, right? We get to choose. And I think that, when I think back on why I started, the Spiral Up podcast actually used to be called the Unstuck podcast, and I rebranded it a couple years ago. But the Unstuck podcast really started because I was so inspired by my grandma's life. My grandma was somebody who always was an inspiration to me. She lost both of her parents 6 months apart when she was 10. She had to move across the country to live with her grandparents, was eventually taken in by an aunt and uncle that didn't allow her to go to high school or leave the house, and then ended up losing two children unexpectedly, one in surgery, and then one was hit by a car. And she had every right to be bitter and angry and have a chip on her shoulder and all the things, but she chose on the daily basis to trust the Lord. She chose on a daily basis to choose her attitude. And that takes me back to Viktor Frankl in The Man's Search for Meaning, which is one of my absolute favorite books. And he talks about being a concentration camp survivor, and knowing that as he was in the concentration camps being abused and neglected by the Nazis, that he didn't have control over his health. He didn't have control over whether they beat him or that they were killing his family or that they were taking all of his possessions. He didn't have control over that. But what he did say that he did have control over was his attitude, and he chose to have hope, and he chose to rise above by the power of his thoughts. And that's what I want to encourage all of us to do today. So it doesn't matter if you're going through something big or something little, we get to choose. And today I choose to show up in service, and I choose to embody what the heck I'm teaching you guys. Because if I just allowed myself to sit in my bedroom and, lay in bed, like, who am I to be here on this show guiding you through anything, right? So I just wanted to acknowledge that. The other thing that I wanted to say about, some things that I'm doing to help me kind of get through this funky day, right, is to allow myself to choose thoughts and feelings that are going to align with the higher level of the emotional vibrational scale. So many of you guys have heard me talk about that. It is a staple in my coaching, because when we are feeling feelings of love, joy, peace, gratitude, freedom, that feeling is literally the language of the quantum metrics, meaning that in quantum physics, when you are feeling feelings of love, joy, peace, gratitude, freedom, your vibration of your body aligns with the vibration of other things in that frequency, and you will see more things of that frequency. If I am allowing myself to sit in hopelessness and despair and feeling sorry for myself, victimhood, shame, guilt, any of those things, I am going to align my body, because the matrix inside of the quantum space, the language of that is frequency, and the frequency comes from our emotions. And so I would just realign myself with more crap. And so it takes very intentional shifting of our thoughts and our feelings to bring ourselves up to the frequency that we want to experience. Now, I know that this sounds kind of out there for some people, and I totally get that. There are two things that support this, and I can get into science like all day long as a scientist, as somebody who has a medical background. I needed to dive into this stuff because I needed to know, like, okay, this sounds woo. Like, I want to understand the science behind the woo. So, I got you if you really want to have those conversations. But let's go into a little bit of brain science first. So our brain is naturally wired for efficiency. So my reticular activating system, my RAS for short, is always going to align things that are consistent with the inner viewpoint that I have. Okay. So if I decide today that I'm miserable and that I'm going to have a shitty day, I will continue to see things in my outside experience that align with that view. And I will continue to see things happen over and over and over again that make me essentially feel sorry for myself. And it takes me down that perpetual downward spiral, right? Because my brain is literally looking for things to validate that. But if I can allow myself to purposefully, with conscious intention, look for things that validate to me that I am freaking blessed beyond measure, and that today is an amazing day, and that this isn't going to stop me, I will continue to see that. Just as I'm sitting here, I'm looking out the window to my left, and the sun is shining, the sky is blue, the grass is green. It's a beautiful, beautiful day in Minnesota in June, like, my favorite season. And like, how could I have a bad day? Right? Like, I have a beautiful home. I have a healthy family. Like, things are good, right? I get to be here. I'm not, in an operating room, waiting for somebody to get me out to go to the bathroom. Like, this is my life. Like, this is so great. So if I look for those things, my brain will then automatically start to look for and find those things without me having to consciously think about it. But sometimes we have to shift our conscious thoughts to allow that to happen, to unlock that. Okay. A great example of that is I'm going to ask you to count the number of red cars that you see on the road today. Yesterday, you probably didn't notice any. Today, you're going to see all kinds of them because your conscious thought is going to start directing your attention towards what it is that you want to find. Okay. So that's the brain science part. The quantum side of this is that, again, if I am allowing myself to feel feelings of, feeling sorry for myself, or this sucks, or hopelessness because this has been like this now for a couple of days and just keeps getting worse. I will continue to vibrate on those lower frequencies. And in the quantum, like attracts like as far as energy goes. And so I'm going to continue to manifest or experience, because manifest really just means to come to fruition. So I'm going to see things in my experience of today that is going to align with the frequency of those things. Meanwhile, the things that I want to experience, the conversations, the ideas, the outcomes from my social media posts, all those things live up in a higher vibration. And so in order for me to experience that, I have to shift both my thoughts and my feelings. Now, a lot of times people don't realize that they require both my feelings of my heart center, because our greatest electromagnetic field comes from our heart. Many people don't realize this, but we have 40,000 neurons, so brain cells inside of our heart. We call it the heart brain. And so I have to intentionally feel what I want to feel. And then I can use my thoughts to also impact my feelings, so that I'm thinking of things that create the feelings. All right. So what does that mean? Like, give it to me, Lachelle, like from a practical standpoint. One of the things that I do on the daily basis is I will visualize things from that day that make me feel love. And I'll think about it, and I'll just marinate in it, the deliciousness of that feeling of what made me feel love. Then I will do the same thing for joy. What makes me feel joyful? Peace, gratitude, and then freedom. And I will go down each one of those emotions, and I will think of something that makes me feel that emotion. And then I just sit in the deliciousness of that feeling. That recalibrates my energetic field, and that will allow for me to start aligning myself with what it is that I want. Okay. So even if you're in a miserable situation, even if something's going wrong, again, this can be with your marriage, your kids, your health, your house, your job, like, it doesn't matter what it is. All of these things are principles that I use on the daily basis. This just happens to be an example of when I really have to, put them to good use, right? And so I will think about things that are in alignment with those feelings. And I allow myself to just, again, like, be in the state of love, joy, peace, gratitude, freedom. If I focus on other things, then I'm going to stay in that state, and that's not what I want, right? And so I'm allowing that to happen. Another thing that you can do when it comes to the manifestation of things. So right now I'm going to work on the manifestation of a really healthy dermatology situation, right? But what we do is we can concentrate on what will it feel after we have what we want, right? So I did this when I spoke in Utah recently. I visualized, not while I was speaking, I visualized what it would feel after I was done. And after people were coming up to me and saying, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And after they were telling me how I shifted their perspective, and after I knew that I had articulated things well, and I just felt good and I felt on fire. Guess what happened? That all happened. And I got a standing ovation from that speech, because I visualized what would happen, how it would feel afterwards. So now I'm just going to feel what it feels like to just feel healthy and vibrant. And I'm going to allow my imagination, which is really the catalyst. Neville Goddard talks about this in his books, that it's the imagination is the creative outlet, that the God within us, right? That God gets to create through us. And it's our imagination that is the catalyst for that. So I'm going to imagine what it feels like to just touch my skin, and it feels good, and it feels not bumpy, not itchy, right? But no, just kidding. But I'm going to feel like it feels soft and it feels healthy. And I just am so grateful that everything has shifted and that I just so in awe of the beautiful source within that can help heal myself and all those things. And so I just want you guys to recognize that no matter what situation you're in, it's really tapping into those feelings of what we want and what it's like to have them, and to shift our perspective and to recognize that we get to choose, right? That we get to ask God to guide us on what it is that we have to do or get to do each day, and what we are allowed to or giving ourselves permission to set down. And when we do that, we can float through life with peace and joy and love and ease. And we don't have to put so much pressure and so much discomfort and misery into our day. All right. So these are just a couple of the ways that I use some of the tools that I use on the daily basis and have to really be mindful today. And yeah, like I said, if you haven't, been watching on YouTube, come on over to the YouTube channel and start watching these episodes on that as well, so that you can see this crazy face of mine today. And I just really am grateful. I'm grateful that I get to be myself around you guys. I'm grateful that I get to be vulnerable and know that we are in this beautiful life together. And that because you are a listener on this show, we are intertwined. We get to entangle our energy together and we get to go on this crazy cool journey together. And I'm honored to be part of your life. And I thank you for being a part of mine. And I want to say that we need to continue to, or get to continue to spiral up, regardless of what we have going on. So I cannot wait to have you guys get to listen to a really great interview that we have coming up with Kelly Roach. And then after that, we have our third video in the series of letting go of control. So I'm super excited about that. And until next time, keep spiraling up, guys. Like, we got this. And if this resonated with you guys, I want to hear from you. So send me a message. Let me know what your thoughts are. And I hope that you all have an amazing, amazing rest of your day, as I know that I will have an amazing rest of mine. All right, bye everybody.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.